Got a dog waiting at home. Got a dog that loves me. Got a dog 'cause I don't wanna be alone. You know he's thinking of me. He's gonna laugh when I get to the door. He's gonna cry when I leave him. Couldn't ask for anything more. This is my dog Wyatt. His job is just to be cute, snuggly, cuddly, 24/7. That's it. That's all he has to do. That and play with Ryder. Ryder is my other dog. They're both rescue dogs. And Ryder, he's got a whole other job. And it's like they meet in the middle right there where they just play all day. But they cover the two complete different spectrums. Ryder's whole job is to work, and he's Australian Shepherd, right? That's what they say. His body is like 100% shaped like an Australian Shepherd, so he was definitely bred to work his ass off, and he does. So the thing I wanted to talk about was bullshit science and evolution, and the science claim that early man, right? Early caveman types somehow took wolves and turned them into dogs. The thing is that science itself will tell you that that's an absolute mystery. They have no idea how that happened. The reason they don't know how it happened is because it didn't happen. It has to do with their evolution lie, which is just another theory tale that they teach as fact. And evolution, Big Bang, all of it. It's a huge psyop. So here we have a recent study of genetics that suggests that dogs and gray wolves do not share a common ancestor. The international team of researchers generated genome sequences from 3 gray wolves, one of each from China, Croatia, and Israel, the 3 countries where dogs are believed to have originated. They then sequenced the genome of the Basenji dog from Central Africa and the dingo from Australia. Both the regions have been historically isolated from wolf populations. So the analysis here, they say that the genomes from the wolves and the dogs showed that the dogs were more closely related to each other than they were to wolves, and the wolves were closely related to each other than the dogs. The scientists did not see a clear evidence linking dogs to any living wolves that were sampled. Well, if they aren't related to any living wolves, then they're not related to any ancient wolves either, because the modern wolves would definitely share a mad amount of DNA with the ancient wolves. So, it doesn't fit. You can't fit it in there. And that's using, quote unquote science against our science. But it's a study, right? And anybody can get a study done. That, science says, studies show, follow who paid for it. But I doubt that there's some creationists out there paying University of Chicago to disprove evolution, because these universities, that's their whole game. You send a child to college, right? These are the stats. You send a child to college and they fully believe in God. They were raised believing in creation, right? The stats are like, after the freshman year, 25% less believe in God. After sophomore year, it's like 50%. By the time they've got 4 years of that indoctrination, it's down to like 25%. Not to mention they're covered in tattoos, their heads are shaven, and they got earrings everywhere. Alright, so the point of it is just an accident in a dying corner of the universe with a dying sun on a dying planet. In fact, the planet's dying because of you, and it's just a huge psyop. It pushes survival of the fittest, so it kind of gives everybody an excuse to be an asshole on its face. No problem, because hey, it's science. Like, it's natural for me to want to take you down. Look into an amino acid chain and the odds of that forming naturally by accident, and you'll see it all falls to pieces. It'll take you 5 minutes. There's a reason for it. If they keep you thinking you're an animal, then you're not going to know that you're divinely created. And once you know you're divinely created, you're then accessing that whole belief system and all that potential. And the elite don't want you to have that potential. They don't want you to have that power. So they're going to teach you that you're an animal. And most people are buying it because it's a freaking religion. And the new priest is the dude in the white jacket, right? That's the new priest. What he says goes. It's just, I mean, it is just all bad. But the dog, the instincts of a dog, absolute opposite. So bring Ryder home, and they say he's an Australian Shepherd. He's got that body type. So he immediately gets to work, and this dog works 24/7. He can smell any critter in the perimeter on this mountain here. He can smell it, I'd say 50 yards easily, from inside the house, through a crack in the door. Relentless, will not stop scratching at the door until you let him out. He can chase the threat off the mountain. I've seen him go up against bears. I've seen it twice, but you can hear that a lot because they're always around. But bear's up on its hind legs, and it's like rearing up, and Ryder is going toe to toe, freaking out on the bear till he cruises down the mountain. I've heard him grapple with bobcats, foxes. One time a moose, he went off on this moose. And moose are like famous for killing dogs and whatnot. So also, it's up on the mountain, right? So we had a mice problem. And 2 weeks. It took him 2 weeks. No need for traps. It's been 3 years. No need for a single trap, not a single mouse. Not only did he just terrorize the ones in the house, apparently word got out on the whole mountain. Like, there's a relentless dog up there. Do not go into that house. So just the mice thing alone, he's worth his weight in gold. And that all comes naturally. Those are all his natural instincts. The opposite of a wolf. I was at a friend's house. I was in the backyard, and my friend had a heavy bag, and I started punching it. Right, I'm punching the bag. Ryder's on the other side of the yard, comes tearing across the yard and just dives up and starts thrashing at the bag. He thought I was fighting the bag, and the bag was coming at me. So right there, it's a fact. If anybody came at me, any kind of threat I'm under, this dog's ready to lay his life down. Anyhow, so the reason I decided to make this video is because I think I finally did find a source as to where these amazing animals, dogs, came from. All right, so I'm constantly reading, and have been for a long time, extra biblical texts, they call them. The pseudepigraphal, the Apocrypha, the Dead Sea Scrolls, Nag Hammadi, the Enoch's most famous, but Jubilee, Jasher, Book of the Bee, Cave of Treasures. What these books do is, like, they took them all out of the Bible. They took all these books out of the Bible, and they shortened it all. And so basically the Bible, they gave people just enough to cause a spark, but not enough to cause a fire. Just enough to give people something to do on Sunday morning, a few rules to keep them under control. Not enough to ignite the inner divine nature, the self-awareness, which that's all it takes to be empowered. And they're terrified of that. The elite is terrified of that, and they've designed the entire educational system and structure to keep you from reaching your potential. I mean, the tests all over. Everybody knows that miracles happen. Everybody knows that intention works. If you look into all this stuff, you could see they're hiding everything. They're hiding past civilizations, elongated skulls, Nephilim, giant bones. I mean, Abraham Lincoln talked about giant bones. I mean, giants in a speech, which, and the past civilizations and all that. It's kind of key to this story. They usurped God. The elite have usurped God. They've taken his place. And if we understood and really knew it, they wouldn't be at the top of the food chain that they act like they are. We would look to the Creator as the controller, as the guide. Instead, they threw a bunch of scientists out there, and they're the priests, and people worship that crap. And I mean, it really is bullshit, because the science goes around, and if they can name something or describe something, they kind of act like they actually did it, like they created it, just because they can sort of describe something, give it a name. Like they say, gravity this, gravity that. How'd Big Bang happen? Because gravity. How's this happen? Because gravity. It's just a theory, right? It's just a descriptive word for why things fall down, which, could be electromagnetic in nature, magnetic in nature. It's could just be density and buoyancy. Could be a combination of it. When they burnt down the library at Alexandria, that was probably the last time the public had easy access to real history. Up until now, up until the internet, up until, for some reason, I mean, like it says in the Bible, that all information, everything will become known at the end, and information will travel back and forth. And that's where we are now. And for some reason, they have, these powers that be have let loose the whole thing for those who want to read it. It's part of the lesser magic. They have to give us access to the truth. We have to decide to choose the evil. So they put it all out there. All the sacredtext.com. It's all there. All of these extra biblical books. But anyhow, I was looking into some basic mythologies, which there's a lot of truth in them. And I'm not sure about all of them, but there's some cool ones here on the dog. And the Apache myth is really cool. So in the Apache myth, the creator had a dog, right? Before any of this. And dog followed the creator around all the time. Creator grandfather, he was called. And the dog asked creator grandfather, like, will you always be around? Like, will you always be around for me? And then the creator said, well, let's create something for you, right? And so the dog, with his paw, traced an outline on the ground of basically of a man, right? And so the creator's like, so now go away, and I'm gonna work on this, right? So the dog's like goes away a little bit, and the dog sees something moving, comes back, and creator's like, yo, I'm not done. You need to go away again, which is just like a dog, right? So he keeps doing that, coming back and forth, and then finally, creator creates the man out of earth, right, out of dirt, brings him up, picks him up, and the man yells. He says to the man, yell, and the man yells, and the dog's like a little bit freaked out, and then the creator tells the man to laugh, and the man starts laughing, and the dog just goes nuts, just loves it, and then the man walks off, and the dog walks off with him. So that's an excellent story. So Egypt, we know, had tons of stuff, right? Anubis guarded the dead, and we have the dog star, which is like the best star. The dog star is there to guide and guard, right? So the main star that's named after a dog, that's not bad. And the Philistines, right? They in all these places, tons of graveyards, just dog graveyards, and the Egyptians would mummify their dogs, bury them with them. In Zoroastrianism, the dog was regarded as especially clean and righteous. You're supposed to feed and take care of them. they do useful work in the household, and a dog's gaze is considered to be purifying, and to drive off demons, which is interesting because in the Native American they say the dog's bark can drive off demons. And I've known about part of the sage thing that also, like, clapping and loud noises can help to drive off bad, juju. But so that's kind of interesting that the dog's bark can clear the air. So getting back to the Apocrypha and the Pseudepigraphal, which is where I always end up going back to, the Bible, biblical, extra biblical, not because that's not where I wanted to go. That's not where I wanted the evidence to lead me. I was enjoying when the evidence had led me to believe that I was just an expression of the source, and God was bored, the creator was bored, so he kind of went to sleep and dreamed all this, and we're all just activities, and just, it's like a big movie, and there is no right or wrong, it's all just a learning experience. I was digging that. That worked for me. It works for a lot of people, but I have been constantly, 25 years, just every day researching every myth, every ancient religion, all the Bibles, and like a lot of them were tough to read. Like the Vedas and stuff are very complicated, and even these crazy books like Urantia and the Secret Doctrine, like honestly, a ton. And the last things I kind of looked at, like the very last places I started to look at of those extra biblical books that were in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that kind of overlapped with some of the things I was into, everything there started making sense, and it was really the last place I wanted the evidence to lead, but it did. So I always go back to there when I'm trying to wrap something up. I always have to go back to there, because everything else, all the other things I can find in there, all the other things I can plug into that Bible story. If you look at the extra, the things that were taken out, it all fits in there, but I can't get that stuff to fit anywhere else. So when you have one system that sort of makes sense with everything else, and it doesn't on the face, you have to do a ton of research to see that it does. And I don't know, a lot of like Christians just don't make it look good because they're just unwilling to even look at other things. And no real searcher types respect someone who is closed-minded, right? Who can't answer a lot of questions. I mean, if your knowledge is solely the Bible, and you can't like explain how other systems fit in there, you're not a lot of good to a lot of people who are interested in everything. And that's most people, right? Most people are searching now. Most people that were raised Christian, like Catholic, like myself, they bounce quick from that whole system because it's nothing. There's nothing there. There's no there. And everyone, it seems like everyone in it, everyone had parents, they went to church, they came home, and it was just like back to the old, back to the whole grind thing. It didn't seem to be sticking. There was no spirituality. So everyone's seeking, right? And then I guess the downside, right, to the average truther these days, the whole problem with the truth is that the only people who want to dig that deep and spend years and years and years wallowing in the rabbit hole, right? The only type of person that really wants to do that is somebody who is basically damaged, right? Someone who had trauma, and somebody who was just not happy with the world. So that type of person tends to have what my dad would call baggage, right? And like that's why the average, the tinfoil hat or whatever, that average person, they're just not normal people, right? So like it's kind of sad because the people out there that are actually talking about real things because they dug aren't necessarily the most normal people you're going to meet. So it's just not a good look for the truth. So getting back to the Bible, the Apocrypha and the Pseudepigraphal, because I'm partial to that because after, honestly, about 30 years of constant research of every religion and every myth, all the roads led back to there. Like, that was not my intention. Believe me, it was the last place I wanted to end up. It was the last, I was loving the whole idea of just being some expression of the source, and there is no wrong, I can do whatever I want. So it wasn't like I chose for that to lead there. And I still actually research more Gnostic stuff and, Nagamati type stuff than I do biblical at this point, because there's more of it out there. But it always seems to fit right in. And, I'm not afraid to have an open mind about everything. But anyhow, you have in Genesis, you have God said, I'm going to create a helper fit for you, which in some interpretations people think that's a dog. In the Septuagint, there's a character named Tobit who goes blind, and he goes on a journey to recover money that was left in a relative's trust, and Raphael, the angel, accompanies him all the way there and all the way back, and Raphael has a dog with him. All right, so I don't see why an angel wouldn't have a dog with him. And some people actually interpret it that the dog itself is also an angel. But I'm going to say Raphael had his own angel. But, so we do have in the Legend of the Jews, which is another Apocrypha book, we have Cain, who had just killed Abel. And he was getting ejected from the garden. And he was going to head off to Nod, right? And there's other civilizations, like I said, there was others before that. So this is Cain talking to God, and he's crying out whither shall I flee from thy presence? To protect him from the onslaught of beasts, God inscribed one letter of his holy name on his forehead, and furthermore he addressed the animals. Cain's punishment shall not be like unto the punishment of future murderers. He has shed blood, but there was none to give him instruction. Henceforth, however, he who slays another shall himself be slain. Then God gave him a dog as protection against the wild beasts. Now you see, that makes sense. Got a dog.